Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another fragrance review. Thank you all very much for tuning in. You guys thought I was kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm going to review an Axe fragrance. I told you guys on the road to getting 40,000 subscribers. For every 1,000 subscriber milestone that I hit, I'm going to do something different. I am a man of my word, and I told you at 31K, I'm going to do a full review on an Axe fragrance. This is actually one that I wore all throughout high school because it came out in the year 2000, and it's called Axe Phoenix. Before I start the review, I want to tell you guys, let's see how quickly we can make it to 32,000 subscribers. Because when we hit 32,000 subscribers, I am going to crush a bottle of cologne. Who wouldn't want to see that, right? So come on, let's share this video. Let's see how quickly can we make it to 32,000 subscribers. So getting back to the review. This one was released in the year 2000. The perfumer behind this composition is Anne Gottlieb. And Anne Gottlieb, there's a wonderful documentary online. I actually watched it thoroughly where they have these control groups and they bring teenagers and other young adults in there and they have them smell the different Axe fragrances. And a lot of people might dismiss this brand because it's very cheap. It's under $10. You can find it in your local Rite Aid or Walgreens. If you're living in a different country, it's known by the name Lynx, L-Y-N-X. In America or in North America, it's known by the name Axe. Now, there are some competitors out there like Tag and Bod, and they do something very similar to this. But the perfumer behind this one, Anne Gottlieb, she is not making Axe fragrances exclusively. She has worked on fragrances for Calvin Klein and Marc Jacobs most notably. She has done over 10 fragrances for Calvin Klein. She has done CK1 Shock, which is a lot of people's favorites. She has done CK Man, and I believe she's also done Dot and Daisy by Marc Jacobs. So she is a very, very well-established perfumer, and a lot of people, like I said, they dismiss it because it comes in a can like this and it has a propellant in it, and you know, that allows for the continuous spray. But honestly, there is a master perfumer who has worked on this fragrance, so I think you should give it its fair share. But nonetheless, I'm not saying it's one of my favorites, so let's go ahead and get into the heart of the review. Because it contains lavender, it is classified as an aromatic fougere. And let's go ahead and start things off by taking a look at the presentation. So here's the presentation for Axe Phoenix. Depending on what scent you purchase, they will have a different name up here at the top. They also change the color pattern here in the design a little bit. You have a serial number at the very bottom, the ingredients on the back. Of course, a lot of it is trying to convince you that you're going to get unrelenting female attention, which I find to be a little bit sexist, but that's besides the point. It gives you the directions how to unscrew it. It actually just turns open like this, and that exposes the nozzle here at the top. Now, it does have a propellant in it, which allows for continuous spray, so you can basically, you know, keep holding it down until you satisfy your fragrance requirements. But that was the presentation for Axe Phoenix. Now, of course, because this came out in the year 2000, I have been wearing it all throughout high school, and because of that, it reminds me of myself when I was in high school, and I was much less of a person than I am now. I didn't quite have the amount of knowledge and experience and sophistication that I do now. So, of course, it doesn't remind me of a better version of myself. It reminds me of a sort of unevolved version of myself. So for that reason, I'm not particularly crazy about it. I know some people might say, well, it's probably nostalgic. I get nostalgia when I smell things that happened during a really wonderful, positive, happy time in my life in high school, you know, getting bullied and stuff like that. It doesn't really remind me of a really positive time in my life. But nonetheless, let's talk about the smell. It has a lot of lavender in here, and the funny part is that it's compounded with this soil tincture note. Soil tincture is used in a lot of fragrances, and it quite literally makes them smell dirty. Now, it doesn't smell like you just got a face full of dirt at a baseball game or something like that, but it adds a sort of masculine quality to the fragrance. Now, there is a lot of lavender in here. Unfortunately, though, it's not the type of lavender that you get that smells really high class and really refined, and it doesn't smell like Caron pour un homme. That is a wonderful lavender-based scent that just smells very gentlemanly. It smells like a barbershop type of a scent. Also, Histoire de Parfum has a really wonderful one called 1725 Casanova. Also, Christiansen New York has a wonderful powdery, gentlemanly lavender type of a scent. This one, I guess because it has the propellant and because it comes from a can and it has that aluminum-y smell, it just reminds me of an air freshener, and that's not a positive evocation. Now, I remember the girls quite enjoying this when I was in high school. And all the guys, we used to share a locker. It was me, my friend June Paul, my friend Greg, and my brother William. And we used to share a locker, and we always had a can of Axe in our locker. And right before class, when we went to get our books, we would just spray ourselves all over. And, I remember getting a few compliments when I was in high school. So there is something about it that is pretty attractive and is appealing. It also has a leather note in there. It has a lot of citrus in the opening. But the qualm of purchasing one of these fragrances is that because of the low concentration, you are basically throwing your money away. If you're a little bit higher up in the game, I would recommend getting an eau de cologne or an eau de toilette. It would suit you better. The longevity on this is deplorable. I mean, it barely lasts. And you're probably going to get an hour out of it, if that. And of course, it depends. One of my favorites is actually Dark Temptation. That one smells like chocolate and very gourmandy. And I do remember getting a lot of comments on that one too, and I loved wearing it. Even though the marketing is a little deceptive, you're not going to get that type of unrelenting female attention from it. But what I do have to say is that I quite enjoy some of their scents. I would personally prefer to wear like an eau de toilette or an eau de parfum version of their fragrances because some of them are quite good and they're pretty well done. But just by virtue of the fact that it comes out of an aerosol can and it has that smell to it, I don't favor it that much. But that was my review. And let's go ahead and finish things off with the rating. First up, I took a look at the uniqueness and the overall smell. And the overall smell, like I said, is pretty good. It's pleasant. It's inoffensive. I don't like the lavender note. I don't like the way that it's used in this scent. It kind of reminds me of an air freshener. And you can tell when you're wearing a fragrance that came out of an aerosol can because it has a certain smell to it. So for that reason, I'm not entirely crazy about it. But if you are in high school and you're looking for something very cheap and maybe you ran out of your favorite eau de toilette and you find yourself in a Walgreens or CVS or something, and you see this on the shelf and you have an extra $5 to spare, then why not? Longevity is horrendous. Projection really strong for like 10-15 minutes. So definitely don't go crazy with it. But the application is not very practical, whichever way you dice it. Versatility, not good, just because it does smell rather youthful. So I wouldn't recommend a grown man go out there and buy himself one of these, although it does smell pleasant. It does smell like low quality, just by virtue of the fact that it's coming out of this can. Presentation, I think for what it's worth, it's an okay presentation, but it's not something that I would be proud to show off on my shelf. You know, the Amouages I'm proud of, Tom Fords I'm proud of, Creeds I'm proud of, Dior Privés I'm proud of. I would not have a shelf full of these things, even though I own a few. So if I were to give this scent an overall score, it's a 2 out of 5. I'm not giving it a 1 out of 5 because I think there was time put into creating the smell. And when I smell it to this day, it still smells iconic. It reminds me of when I was younger. So it has a distinct smell. It has a uniqueness to it. But there are a few things that went really sour on me. The smell of the lavender, the fact that it smells like it came out of an aerosol can, and just that reminds me of a time in my life that it wasn't really a positive time in my life. So, you know what? Scent is subjective. We have to take what people say with a grain of salt. Always sample for yourself. But that was my account of Axe Phoenix. So there you have it, guys. I told you I was going to do it. I was going to do a full review on an Axe fragrance. Let's see how quickly we can make it to 32,000 subscribers. Then I'm going to crush a bottle of cologne. If you own or have tried the scent, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to rate and subscribe for future videos, top 10s, giveaways, unboxings, and a lot of other fragrance-related content. Also, please don't forget to click on the bell next to the subscribe button. That will enable notifications so you never miss any of my uploads. Remember, I smell well so you can smell good. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care.